Okay, video number 1. I'm going to show you how to solve an absolute value inequality algebraically by testing points. Our first step is to pretend that the inequality is an equation. So I'm going to turn the inequality, this less than or equal to, into an equal sign. And then I'm going to solve the equation. This is finding the intersection points between the absolute value and the horizontal line 8, if we were looking at this graphically. So step 1, pretend this is an equal sign, and solve for x. So I'm going to add 4 on both sides. Remember, I want to isolate the absolute value sign. I'm going to divide both sides by that stretch factor of 2. Now the absolute value sign is isolated, so I can split that x plus 2 equal to 6, and x plus 2 equals negative 6, because the absolute value means the distance to 0, and 6 and negative 6 are both 6 away from 0. Then I'll solve for x. By subtracting 2, I get 4 and negative 8. So those are my intersection points. Now step 2, I'm going to test points. So I'm going to put negative 8 and 4 on a number line. So 0 is in between negative 8 and 4. I can test 0 for this middle interval. A number less than negative 8, maybe negative 9. You don't have to choose these numbers, they just have to be in that interval from negative infinity to negative 8. From negative 8 to 4, and then something greater than 4, I'll choose 5. So we're testing x values in these intervals to see whether or not the interval is indeed a solution to the inequality. So I'm going to test x equals negative 9 by plugging in negative 9 for x. So that'll be 2 times the absolute value of negative 9 plus 2 minus 4. Let's see if that's less than or equal to 8. So I'm running out of room here. I'm going to do some of this in my head. Negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. The absolute value of negative 7 is positive 7. Times 2 would be 14. 14 minus 4 is 10, which is not less than or equal to 8. So I know that this first interval from negative infinity to negative 8 is not part of my solution to the inequality. Then I'm going to test x equals 0 to see if the middle interval from negative 8 to 4 is a solution to my inequality. So I'll plug in 0 as my test point. And again, I'm going to do some of the work in my head. I have 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. And 4 minus 4 is 0. Is 0 less than or equal to 8? Yes. So I know this middle interval from negative 8 to 4 is part of my solution to the inequality. And I'm going to use closed brackets because I have a less than or equal to. That or equal to sign makes the negative 8 and the 4 included in my solution. And then I'm going to test the last interval. I'm testing 4 to infinity with the test point negative 5. Nope, positive 5. So 5 plus 2 minus 4, is that less than or equal to 8? 5 plus 2 is 7. The absolute value of 7 is still 7. 7 times 2 is 14. 14 minus 4 is 10, which is not less than or equal to 8. So 4 to infinity is not part of my solution set. My answer to the inequality of where is the absolute value less than or equal to 8 is between negative 8 and 4.